Meyers here for the Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of the Northtown Communist Council. Oops. Well, actually, that's community council, but more so myself and Sonny Hersh and whatever, more so than any community council. We are situated at a place I have mentioned on the show many, many times. We are in the 5300 block of Devon, and we are at John's Barbershop. The first person you saw right behind me there giving this gentleman a haircut happens to be John. And the person who actually takes care of me and makes sure that I don't look... The reason my hair actually looks pretty crappy right now is because he hasn't gotten to me yet. But the guy who usually fixes me up before the show is the guy standing right over here, Marty Levinson. Marty, how you doing?
How are you?
Real good, thanks.
Thank you for having us on.
And to tell those of you who don't quite understand, especially the ladies in the audience, the importance of barbers in this world. Okay, somebody who I happen to like and we're friendly anyway, but the fact is what initiated the fact that we actually might get along was the knowledge that we actually had the same barber. And in this world, that counts for more than almost anybody could possibly tell you. Not to mention the fact that this guy and I share common political interests and a number of other things. One of the good guys in politics, there aren't too many of them, but this is one of them, the Director of Intergovernmental Relations for the Clerk of the Circuit Court, Dorothy Brown, Al Levin. Al, how you doing?
Glad to meet you. Nice to see you.
Good. So, whatever draft, was it?
Yeah.
Guillotine. So the real question is, you think you might get a good haircut today?
I'm hoping. It's been a long time since I've been coming to this guy, and once in a while, you know.
Now, you actually predate me that way. I didn't move north till, till like 69, and then at that point, I was using another barber for a few years, and basically he recommended Marty to me. And so I've been using Marty probably not more than, probably close to 30 years, but not quite. 25 maybe.
Yeah, Marty's been taking care of my hair since I was about 13 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah, we kind of met through another barber as well, because the gentleman that occupied the chair next to Marty back then wasn't such a great barber. So I just switched my allegiance over to Marty, and I've been stuck ever since.
And it's not John.
And it's not John.
No, it wasn't John. This is a different location, a different time and space, and a whole different day and age.
We're going back a long time.
And hi, John. You can say hi to everybody. So anyway, it's a nice day today. We're here basically in August. This will probably air sometime, I don't know, late August, early September. Somewhere in here on the 5300 block of Devon at John's Barbershop, no H, by the way. And, we've got all the basic amenities for a decent barbershop. I mean, bunch of guys, no ladies. That always tends to work for me. And at least inside a barbershop. And but this is canned TV, so I don't think we're going to tell any interesting jokes today. And actually, there are kids that do come in here, so I don't know how interesting the jokes can be. The jokes can be funny, but how interesting, we'll leave that up to your imagination and what time you book your appointment. So, Marty.
Yes, sir.
How did you ever become a barber in the first place?
Well, when I was 4 years old, I decided that I wasn't doing much with my life, so I decided to go to barber college. I had a friend who was much older than me, who had a barbershop in the Loop, and he was a theatrical barber, which means that...
He pretended to be a barber?
Yes, well, he was a hairstylist at that time, and in those days, there weren't that many hairstylists around. But he did a lot of theatrical people who came in to do movies in the city, actors, even actresses, whatever. And we were friends. We used to go fishing together. And he said, "Why don't you go to barber college? You're not doing much of anything anyway." I said, "Okay," and I did. And then I went to barber college for less than a year, and I came out, and I came up north to Rogers Park in 1970. I bought the shop, Taurus, that used to be called Taurus Hairstyling.
Right, that was on what, in California?
California and Tui, basically.
Oh, Tui, I'm sorry. Yeah, my business was at one in California. Right.
He had a printing store, if any of you don't know that.
Right.
Anyway, and I was there for 25 years until 1995, and then I moved away for a couple of years and came back, and John was kind enough to take me in, and I've been here since 1997. Thank you. I've been here with John since 1997, and we have a great relationship, him and I. We do things together besides cutting hair, and we're buds, besides working.
That counts, and they've even got
in a small place like this. It's not a very large place, but you have to get along with each other, otherwise, it's not...
That would be very uncomfortable.
Yes, but we get along fine, and everything works out good.
Yeah, I remember in your old shop you had a different array of people.
Yes, I did. We had a very different array of people, which we will not
No, but some of them used to chase away a lot of the nicer people that used to.
But this is a business that has its ups and downs, and I think the barbering business is coming back because more and more men are finding that.
Here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
More and more men are finding that they're looking more to get a barbershop haircut than a beautician's haircut. So it's helped us, help barbers. There's not that many barbers left, so they don't have any schools anymore, and it's one of those.
There's no more schools?
No, they stopped teaching you to be a barber maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Wow.
Now, if you want to be a beautician, you go to beauty school, and they teach you a little bit about cutting men's hair. But the crux of the matter is that gentlemen like us are few and far between.
Interesting. I didn't know that at all.
That's right, and it's a sad thing, sad situation. We would like to see schools open again so people can learn to become a barber. And I think it would be a great thing for the state to look into, because they're the ones who license the shops and the people who teach people how to cut hair.
Yeah, that would be nice. I did notice licenses. I've always seen licenses in barbershop. You guys have to be licensed.
A regulation license issued by the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
And it's, because it's sanitary, and you have to have things that are within the guidelines of professionalism.
Well, professional would be nice, and hopefully not taking too much off my ear would be good, too.
That's even better. Taking your ear. It's come close a few times.
No, I don't remember too much blood. No, just a little bit.
Okay, that's all right.
Well, in the old days, barbers used to do the job of doctors to a certain extent.
That's right.
Bloodletting and.
Give full teeth.
Yeah.
And they used to maybe do slight, doing little operations on certain parts of the body.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the barber was the doctor of the old town. He was the mayor. He was possibly the lawyer. The dentist, right, and the judge, if there were cases to be had. We still do that here, also.
Executioner also?
Yes.
That'll work.
Two blades here.
Gotcha. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about Al here. We got Al in the chair. You got an interesting history. I mean, you've been involved in unions. You're a big shot in government these days. You've got it. Well, first of all, you're working for a really terrific lady.
Yeah.
I happen to approve of very highly. Dorothy Brown.
Fantastic lady, fantastic boss. I mean, she's really interesting to work with. Very knowledgeable, very professional. She cares very much about not only the constituency of Cook County, the people of Cook County, but her employees. She spends a lot of time making sure that the employees are trained properly or educated in all different fields, not only their normal daily routine, but a lot of education into respecting the workplace, time and stress management are some of the courses. She really reaches out to make things best for the employees under her.
Which is good. I remember the first time I really started reading up on her when she ran for the first time 4 years ago. And I remember saying to myself, figuring that of all the candidates running, she actually understood what the office is supposed to be and was qualified to run it properly. And I basically figured she didn't have a chance in hell because people who are qualified never win the elections.
Well, yeah, really. But she is, Dorothy Brown is a CPA, and she is an attorney. And she uses that knowledge to guide the office of the clerk of the circuit court.
Well, she also has ministerial experience prior to also.
Yes, she was chief auditor for CTA.
Yeah, which is not a small thing.
No, not by any means. But she has a vision for the office. See, a lot of people don't really know what the clerk of the circuit court does. They go to court, they pay a traffic fine, they file a paper here or there, but they really don't know what goes into the office. And it's amazing. There's about 2,300 employees in several different locations, and it's really a complex operation.
How many employees is it again?
About 2,300.
This is the largest court system in the entire United States, if I'm not mistaken.
Largest unified court system.
Oh.
So, and it's a job. I mean, it
That's
takes
a big
lot
time
of work,
job.
takes a lot of effort, and she manages it tremendously.
Yeah, no, for sure. And by the way, she is up for re-election this November, so I've already done my promo for her, and we'll be having her on the show also in the coming weeks before the election. So we do want you to vote for her early and often.
Early's fine. Early's fine, guys. Yeah.
Well, for those of you who, well, actually, you guys don't. Well, not everybody always watches the show, but
now you do that every
right.
time.
You're right. See, when I have, I think it's best when I have Dick Devine on, the state's attorney of Cook County, who's in charge of clamping. Yeah. I do get criticized. They tell me I'm only allowed to vote once. I do ask my precinct captain, can I vote more than once today?
Sure.
No, I wish.
Sure.
No, it doesn't quite work that way. So, so there's a lot of things. I mean, basically, a lot of what you have to do. I mean, you have to deal with all kinds of different politicians, and you have to deal with the state, you have to deal with city, you have to deal with county.
Well, the clerk's office is actually governed by about 927 Illinois statutes. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of governing power over our office. And it plays into just about everything. Domestic violence is a key issue in our office. Child support is a very big issue in our office. Again, we oversee traffic court. We work with the judiciary at all levels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a very complex operation, and we touch on just about everything. It's a lot more than just taking a piece of paper and putting it in a file.
Yeah.
So, and you have to have good, not only good managerial skills, but you have to have good skills in dealing with the public, because it's very important. Customer service is very important. How you treat the people when they come to the counter, if they run into a problem, if they don't understand the function. Our employees, again, they're phenomenal. They've been trained as to how to deal with all different types of situations in multiple languages. So, and that's another thing that the clerk has implemented in the office, along with numerous technology changes. She has brought the office into the 21st century.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she actually took it from, in my opinion, the 19th century to the 21st century.
No, that's very possible.
You speak of languages, even at the school right near my house where we do most of our filming, not filming today, there's 18 different languages taught in that school.
Right.
And I think in the northeastern part of the Board of Education scheme, there's like 73 different languages. So the idea of being able to do things in multiple languages is basically a necessity. I mean, my joke in my neighborhood is basically white Christians are the real minority.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how the public comes up with this other stuff. By the way, before I forget, I do want to say hi to the cameraman who's never shows himself usually, and I don't blame him. Sonny Hersh, who's also the chairman of the 24th District Advisory Committee and all-around good guy.
He's really a handsome man behind the camera, you know that.
Are you serious?
Handsome man.
Well, it's funny because, I try to give people a sense that he's actually on the show. And I know there's times I've been here and you said things like, well, Sonny's your technical guy. You ask him this question. You ask him that question. And you'd never met Sonny before, but you were talking to him like you knew who he actually was, which I thought was pretty cool.
Because you put a lot of input into when you run the show with Sonny, so it's get to kind of know him anybody.
Well, there's, I think it's important. Yeah, it's interesting. I once heard me in a car, hey, tell Sonny I said hello. And it turns out the guy never met Sonny, just knows him from the Of course, then later in the year, I happened to see the guy arrested for a burglary on Western Avenue. I'm not kidding you either. So anyway, we'll have the commander check into Sonny on that. But you know what? Part of the clerk's office, you have to get involved with all the different governmental agencies. Just about. I mean,
Yeah, I spend a lot of time down in Springfield, especially during the legislative session, because there's changes that need to be made sometimes. Some of the laws are antiquated. They need to be brought up to date. Especially now, it's not only the clerk's office that feels the brunt of it, but because of the fiscal situation all over, we have a lot of money that's owed to the clerk's office, past due fees, so on and so forth. And you have to strive to look for new sources of revenue. It's very hard. It's very hard without putting a burden on the public. And the clerk didn't want to do that. She didn't want to implement new fees, raise fines or anything like that, although it has to go through the judiciary as well. statute that would help us collect past due fees, dues that are owing to us. Because I know in one department alone, we're owed somewhere in the neighborhood of $4.5 million.
Wow.
Going back probably over 10 years.
Wow.
So, again, you don't want to burden the citizens of Cook County by implementing a new fee and charging everybody a fee. So what was determined by the clerk was that let's go after the people that owe us the money, the people that have been negligent in paying or meeting their obligations. And that's what we've done. We've been very successful in Springfield. We've had several key pieces of legislation passed in this session and several key pieces in the last session as well. So her ability to work with the legislature is phenomenal. Very well received in Springfield. Again.
Which is good considering all the conflicts they had this time around.
Unfortunately, we didn't fall into that mold. So, yeah, like I said, we tried to stay focused on our necessities. We certainly did not get into the other problems that were occurring with leadership or the governor's office. That's not what the clerk's all about. It's just maintaining a high-level service for the people of Cook County, and that's what the clerk is.
That'll work.
That'll work.
That'll definitely work. Yeah, because it's your dime. I'm not going to get into my feelings on the governor's office, but we'll have a different segment.
No, so. Although I just want to say one thing. You talk to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that have been very critical of the governor. And I have been at times myself. I mean, you can't help but get wrapped up in it sometimes. A lot of these problems were not the problems of the governor. He inherited a big mess.
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect. His methods of trying to get out of the mess are a little questionable, but I think basically he's got everybody's best interests at heart, and I think eventually everybody will learn to work together, and I think we'll be fine. Hopefully we'll be fine.
Well, I hope they work together just fine. I happen to be a Madigan fan myself. He's a guy I happen to like very much.
I as well, and I think the speaker had the best interests of the people at heart. More borrowing was not going to solve the problem. I don't believe. I know.
I agree. I think that leads to nothing but problems.
I kind of look at it in the same way I would look at my household income. I mean, you don't want to go out and borrow because eventually it does catch up with you. And I think that's kind of the situation we were facing here. Somewhere down the road, whether it be our children or our grandchildren, somebody's going to have to foot the bill for the borrowing.
Right.
So, to do it short term, to do it when extremely necessary might be one issue, but to do it just for the sake of borrowing yourself out of the hole, I don't agree with that myself. So.
I agree. I'm not big on owing money, period, and I don't think it's a good idea for government because all you do is you pass on your exactly like you said.
Got that $50 you owe me?
Oh. That'll work. That'll definitely work. So, yeah. Anyways, you're here almost,
Almost what?
I'm
doing perfection here. We got to talk about Marty's work here.
Always perfection.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to these things, Marty's good. Anyway, be careful because we got the microphone on over there.
That's right.
But as long as we're doing this, I guess at this point we'll wrap up this segment. I want to thank you very much. Gail Levin, Director of Intergovernmental...
My pleasure. Intergovernmental Affairs.
Thank you. And Marty, you're on the second segment, so you're not going anywhere.
Okay.
But that'll be me and Marty. And Al, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again.
And take care. And
good to see you.
My pleasure.
I hope your ears are still on when you leave.
Avi Meyers here is segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. And now you're about to find out why I'm always really happy afterwards. After I leave here and do the show and why my hair looks halfway decent and why it didn't in the beginning or why it doesn't sometimes when we start. Marty, how you doing?
fine.
Okay, for those of you who missed segment 1 with Al Levin, this is Marty Levinson. Al, the Director of Intergovernmental Relations for Clerk of the Circuit Court, Dorothy Brown, and I share Marty Levinson as our barber over at Barbershop on the 5300 block of Devon. And nice summer day. And Sonny's our technical crew for a change. And
Hi, Sonny.
Hi there. So you've only been cutting my hair for 25 years. How come you've been messing it up the whole time?
Well, because I have to make you look good, because you are, let's face it, you are the man. You are the star.
Hey, whatchamacallit, you look up in the horizon. Well, actually in Chicago, you look up the sky at night, you can see both stars on a clear night. That's another story. So we actually established some of your background. I never had asked you before during the L segment about where you first started cutting hair and all that. How many years have you been at this present location?
I've been with John at John's Barbershop this November will be 7 full years.
7 full years.
Yes.
And one of the interesting things is because you were actually down in Florida for a while. You and your wife moved down to Florida.
Right. We moved down to Florida, to the east coast of Florida, to really basically start a new life. But I still had to work because I have children that are at home with me. And
well, plus you like eating.
Yes, you have to eat for a living, and it was very difficult down there because a lot of barbers that moved to those areas are retired barbers, and they kind of take the time and money away from people like me who have to work for a living. So we decided to chuck it all and move back to Chicago, back to the area where we left, and we've been here since 97. We moved out in 95, and we moved back to the Chicagoland area, Skokie. I live in Skokie now, and this barbershop is in Edgebrook, Sauganash area, Edgebrook, and I couldn't be happier.
As a matter of fact, not just Al and myself, but a number of the old gang were definitely very happy to hear that you were back.
That's right.
And
I made phone calls when I came back, and I brought back some following here to the shop here, and I built up my own little trade for the last 7 years, and everything is working out very nice.
That'll work. Yeah, it was really interesting when you were saying in the last segment about the lack of barber colleges. That freaked me out.
Absolutely. It's a shame because there are a lot of I think young men out there that don't have college educations, or maybe some do, that could make a very nice living having, being a barber and going to school and learning the trade. If they had the schools open now, a person could become a barber going full time, which, by the way, is under the GI Bill. A gentleman could go to school for under a year and become a barber, and then he has to work in a shop as an apprentice for 2 years, and then he can become a journeyman barber.
Now, when we're talking the last segment, or she,
that's right. Excuse me, got to be politically correct today.
Unfortunately. I try never to be correct anyway, so don't worry about it, guys. Now, the thing is, besides for all the things we had mentioned in the previous segment about a barber, like, pulling teeth and cutting throats and the whole shot, there's a psychological side, too. I mean, a person tends to have a relationship with their barber.
Right.
On a different kind of level. Why don't you talk about that from a barber standpoint?
Well, of course. And when you have customers that you've done, like for in your case, and some of your family members would come in here, or the other shop that I was at on Toohey in California for 25 years, you could almost write a book about the characters and the people that you can relate to. And a barber is kind of like a psychologist or a bartender or a beautician. People tell you things because they get to know you. And it's kind of an intimate type of relationship when it comes to people telling you things that maybe they don't want anybody else to tell. So what you do is you kind of keep it in your mind. You don't really tell too many people about the stories. But people get comfortable with you, and they feel very comfortable with you. And of course, you want to give them a nice haircut. But also you want to become, I've gone to bar mitzvahs, I've gone to weddings, I've gone to pigs in a poke, that type of thing for some of my customers, because they've invited me and they'd like to have a relationship outside of the barbershop also. And I've met many wonderful, very kind, nice, giving people over the last 35 years, and I just find that I wouldn't trade doing this for anything. I love doing what I do. And I like making people look handsome, especially guys like you.
It's an impossible task. We know this already.
And it's just one of those professions that I'm so happy that I got into, thanks to an old friend of mine that I had mentioned in the last segment, that he kind of mentored me and pushed me through it. And I'm so happy that I did it.
That sounds good to me. You know what? In the meantime, we've got something up on the wall here. We're going to do a cutaway and show it. It says McGuire University, we play hurt. 35 years, McGuire U Final 5. And we're going to do a segue here and have John, who talk about
John knows the whole story, according to that.
Well, there were a group of fellows back in '63
Are you through?
I went to see the Loyola contest, and they got it together, and they called up the NCAA, and the NCAA they wanted to know if they were a university, and they said, well, yes, we are. And they said, well, where are you located? And they said, Forest Park, Illinois. So they received about 35 tickets, and they received it for many years, and then they got, the Tribune wrote an article on them, and since then the NCAA does not give them any more tickets or allow them to get them. But they still go to the every year, and they rent hotel suites, and they have a good time.
And there never was a McGuire University.
No, it's a bar.
It was a tavern. It was a bar in Forest Park. That's the whole funny thing about it. It was a bar. It still is a bar. I think they're still there. Right, John?
Forest Park.
There are judges. There was a priest in it. There were all kinds of guys. It was just a fun thing.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. I've always loved this side over here.
Right.
So
it's a very, very, very key sign. People all the time come in and say, what does that mean? What is the McGuire University sign? Then you tell them the whole story. You tell them like we told you, and it's very interesting. And that is like a key piece of history.
No, absolutely.
Because there's so many nice stories that people can relate to you and tell you how it started. It's very interesting.
Oh, for sure. So, one of the things, too, it strikes me, I guess one of the reasons, besides for the fact that you're in close proximity to your barber for half an hour, every time haircut-wise, or approximately that time, there's also something about the actual cutting of hair. I don't know, the Samson Delilah thing or whatever, that definitely tends to either build about, I never even thought that somebody could have a barber that they really didn't like. I know when you were gone, I went from barber to barber to barber. It was more like actually going from butcher to butcher to butcher.
Yeah, that's the sad part about the business. That's why we would like to see colleges come back and the people, younger people, getting into the business, because a lot of the people who are cutting hair today happen to be a little older. And when you get older, things happen. Your body changes. You start shaking a little bit, or you get a little careless, and you get a little forgetful. So it would be a wonderful thing if the state started getting into having a college here or there in the area, so that people can go back to school and learn how to do this, which I find very rewarding. And I find it, the people you meet, everybody says, well, it's cutting hair, but it's a whole different segment. You give a haircut, but everybody's different. Everybody's head is different.
Hi there, Avi Meyers back, and I guess this is about the end. You saw how horrid I looked in the beginning, and now that Marty's finished with his haircut, you see I look even worse right now.
Thank you.
Anytime. But no, seriously, I want to thank you very much.
Thank
Marty
you.
Levinston.
Thank you for having us on here, me and my pal John, and we really appreciate you coming
Thank
in.
you, John.
Thank you.
After all these years.
Remember, this is a comb, not a magic comb.
Oh, okay. And we want to thank all of you for joining us. And thanks to Marty and John for having us here at John's Barbershop on the 5300 block of Devon. Thanks to my entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh. I'm your host, Avi Meyers. Join us every single Thursday at 7:30, Friday at 2:30 on Channel 19 in Chicago, Thursdays 8 o'clock, Channel 6 Evanston, and Mondays at 6 and 24 North and Northwest suburbs. Thank you, Sonny Hersh, for all the great technical stuff. And we'll see you guys again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.